welcome to another episode of Reseller Evolution. I'm Scott.
And I'm Carl.
Hey, what's going, Carl?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I am good. I'm
Number
good.
44. Number 44.
Great.
You're
I'm
great.
So great.
You're so full of energy. So full of other stuff too, but I won't say it.
Wow. Nice. What do you? How's it going with you? How are you?
Pretty good. It's I've been a pretty quiet October. I haven't been sourcing at all, man. I just have so much stuff, and more auctions are coming up, and I just know it's a good chance I'm gonna have a bunch more crap coming in. So it's like, okay, but I'm gonna try and be fussy. I know less crap, more gold. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I'm kind of the opposite. I've got no picking, very low on inventory, and I don't know what to do, Carl.
Oh, really?
Where am I going to find all this stuff?
I don't know. I have a feeling though
that
you might have found some more stuff.
Dude, I went back. So anybody new to the channel, anybody knows the channel, knows the story about the toy soldiers. And so I went back yesterday and bought a whole bunch more.
Wow.
When I was there last time, there was a bunch on the table and a pile, and she goes, I haven't even got those boxed. So in my estimate, it was about 10 to 20% of what I did buy. And everybody knows what I already had bought or purchased in the last deal with her.
Yeah, high-end soldiers.
Yeah, I went back and she said once I get them all boxed and go through them, she'll let me know. I went back, and there was more there than I at first anticipated. And there was a lot of things like fences and now I haven't gone through it all, but there's long boxes, and they would have structures, right, which is part of a scene. There was long boxes with groups of figures. So, yeah, I honestly think this is probably not quite as valuable as the last pick. But once I go through it and I found out it was more valuable, I wouldn't be surprised. There's definitely less boxes because they're smaller. So there might have been about 12 boxes, but they are smaller than the last time, right? So you're fitting less in there. For the most part, there's a couple of boxes that are roughly the same size, but she probably ran out of those boxes last time. But anyway, but some of these, so like the Vikings for the John Jenkins design, for anybody who doesn't know, that's a toy soldier line, kind of like Britain's or King and Country. But it seems to be a higher end one. They're in a bit of a nice, clean, crisp looking box and stuff like that. But these are more, the other ones were Vikings, and they all seem to be a little bit less valuable. You know what I mean? They're a little bit, there's more available. So we're in the King and Country, I'm selling one or two here and there that I would find in these boxes, like just going through the figures that were rare, unavailable. Well, the Viking ones, there's like 4, 5 to 10 in competition. They're there to be sold. So, and they're all listed brand new. So I'm going to have to bring down a little bit. But anyway, I haven't gone through them yet, but I got a bunch of those same ones, and these are good ones. These are like, the Wild West, and they've got the Indians ones, which are very popular. And the cavalry and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really excited to go through them and see what kind of stuff is here.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, these are little nuggets of gold. Like,
amazing.
So I'm going to ramble on here, but I need to kind of
you've never done that before.
But I got to fill the story in on how they're doing. Because if you get out there and you get this type of pick, it might cost you a little bit up front, but it's going to be well worth it. Like, right? Like it's crazy what these little things go for. So all in all, I paid another 25. I paid $2,500. So I paid $2,000 for the soldiers, and then she had some books, DVDs, CDs, like crazy. Some of this stuff was crazy prices. I was really surprised. I bought them expecting them to be a little bit lower, because I'm going to throw them in the booth, right? And these are things that would be very valuable. But there's a line of The Man from Uncle and The Girl from Uncle, and they're paperbacks, and they're probably from the 60s, 70s type thing. And some of these things go for like 15 to 25. Some are in the $30 range for
Oh
one
wow.
paperback.
I
And
wouldn't have
I'm just
guessed that.
looking at
Yeah.
what's that?
I wouldn't have guessed that. Like when you said, "Oh, I bought some CDs and books," I'd be like, "Okay."
Yeah, yeah.
Like how much value can there really be in that stuff?
And don't get me wrong, most of them are in the $5 range. I'm gonna put probably $5. And when I
Yeah.
say $5, I'm talking $5 to $10 on eBay. But I'm gonna put $5 on them and throw them in the booth. And I think they'll actually do quite well. They have
Mm.
a really cool 60s design, the imagery and all that really nice stuff. But some of these paperbacks from The Man from Uncle, yeah, it was great. Like it's almost one of these things I got to go back and double check when I'm ready to list them
Yeah.
because I'm shocked. You know what I mean? Like and these and the ones I have are all volumes, so they're like volume 1, volume 2, so they're easy to look up and it's not even a volume, it's more of a number 1, number 2. Like each book is story has its own number to it, but they're consecutive. So I could sell them as a group if I wanted to. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
um there's some Bonanza books that seem to do okay. And yeah, like I'm going to ramble on about those. I want to digress back to what I digressed from and keep on the toy soldiers, but
Okay.
yeah, it's just phenomenal, right? So I don't know. There's more King and Country, there's more Britons, there's like big box of Britons, and it's complete like you build your own little scene with all these. There's got to be 50 Britons in those boxes, maybe more. I don't know, but like it's crazy. It's crazy.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear it, man.
And I got two more picks. So this lady was really happy. You know, it's all about how you treat them in my mind. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that. But she gave me a number of a friend. She goes, "Oh, she doesn't live too far from here and she's ready to sell a bunch of stuff too. Here's her number. She's expecting you to call." So now I got
Nice.
another pick from it. But because this was given to me from a friend, I've told him about it. I said, "Listen, this is your baby. So either you can take this picture yourself or we can go together."
Oh, that's really interesting. I didn't even think of that aspect of it. That you got like this source, so another source from this source. You feel you should get to the original person. Yeah, that's very ethical. I don't know if I would. Well, I was in the situation, so I wouldn't have thought of it. But that's pretty good of you.
As soon as I drove out of the driveway, dude, I give him a call.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So because I got to call her today, so I wanted just to kind of get it out there right up front, see if he's available. He's very appreciative. I said, "This is so you either take this pick yourself or we can go with you. Either way, she's going to expect me to call because it's my name, so I can make the call." He goes, "Why don't we just both go together?" And I said, "Okay."
Sweet.
So that's what we're going to do. I have another pick too. Someone came by the booth. We had Pumpkin Fest. Pumpkin Fest hit it out of the park again.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Probably wasn't the best Pumpkin Fest ever,
Right.
but it was a very good Pumpkin Fest. And so you sell stuff, but Steph also got a number for me, and I made a phone call, but I'm busy all week, so I said I'll call him Saturday or Sunday, and I'll make arrangements for the following week to go by his house. Big collector, he's getting older, and he's just like, I bought this stuff to resell it when I retire. I mean, I heard this story about 2 months ago at another place, but so I don't know if a lot of people were in this kind of vote. But he goes, "I guess got too much stuff and I just want it gone." He's like,
Yeah, yeah.
"It's sitting around now. It's a wait, his
To
plan
wait.
is pan out because now he's like swimming in his stuff, right?" Um, so anyway, so I got that pick to deal with too. So it's been crazy, man. It's plus I got an auction that I wanted to go to this Saturday. I don't think I can do it. I just don't have time.
Uh-huh. I have a feeling I'm gonna hear about you going to that one too, somehow.
I honestly,
But
dude,
you just get the last one, so maybe I shouldn't be so assured of myself.
yeah. Well, honestly, it's the problem is I just not going to have space, and I
Hmm.
don't want to do that to myself again because it's really hard to move around and everything, and I just got it kind of where I like it. well, where it's manageable. And then I'm bringing in these two toy soldiers, and I got two more picks to coming up. And I'm just thinking,
Where are you
why?
gonna put all this crap?
Where am I going to put it all? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it's just going to become an issue. Um, but
it's become an issue at my house. So in the basement where I am, right, it's
yeah,
definitely an issue. I now have like all the bins kind of like piled up on top of each other, which is not something I like to do. Full of inventory ready to be processed, and I have some big stuff too. So like that big stuff just takes up so much room that I'm kind of nervous about buying anything else. But I'm going to go anyways to another auction. I think today actually, but we shall see. Because yeah, you get to the point where you can't even move around, and then you just keep pushing things around out of the way, out of the way, out of the way.
and
And before
and
you know it, it's been 5 years, you know?
and that's 100%. But at the same time, as I'm pulling out this stuff, this old inventory, that dude, I'm like, I haven't even looked at some of these boxes closely yet. Like, remember how I grabbed those pens, and I went to the guy's storage locker, and he had
Oh,
eight
yes. Yeah.
boxes. Remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going kind of really read through some of these boxes. Other ones I just open up, anything interesting, nothing. But like I have a Waterman. It would have been a display case, and it's got Waterman pens on it. Like it's not very big. They could have used it maybe on a counter at a store or something like that. But somebody that has a Waterman collection is going to love this thing. So I go online, and they're like about $80, and it's just sitting there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
I have books. I have an old Russian. It's a it's still in the box. It's probably from the 70s. Um, it's a little car. It's $100 car. It's in a box. You know, it says USSR on it. So I'm like this car is just sitting there. Like, why am I not listing it and selling it? You know,
Because
it's
buying feels good.
because buying feels good. Exactly. But I'm just like, I really got to get the stuff out. Like, I really just got to start. Like, I enjoy the buying, and I'm not going to stop, but I need to be a little bit more pickier just so I'm not bringing so much in.
You need to
Which,
hire
which I
someone.
have started to do, but it's just crazy, dude. It's just a crazy craziness, you know.
Maybe it's time to grow. Maybe it's time to hire someone.
Well, I know you and I've talked about me, like I talked to you about doing that kind of stuff, and
What are you
you
talking
know,
about? I just happen to be bringing this up.
yeah, whatever. I'm seriously considering that kind of idea. It's at least 6 months away.
It's a big
Maybe.
leap. It's a big leap. Like, I don't know if I
Well,
could ever do that, but
I don't think I'd be hiring somebody where they're an employee in quotations. I'm more of
right.
like, here's a family member. You want to come and help me a couple days a week. Here's what I need. I need from you, and this is what I can offer. You know what I mean? And and just see where it goes. Right. So I
It's
think
hard
that would
because,
be I think that would be the first step,
yeah,
and not get all bogged down with paperwork and all this kind of stuff. Just like, you know what I mean? Give me a hand,
it's a big step. It's a big step. Like,
yeah,
once you
and
go that
just
way,
see
it's
where it
like,
goes.
and you can't just, it depends on you, but reversing out of that isn't so easy either. It's like, I can imagine having to let someone go.
Well, I don't have a problem with it because if they're not doing a good job, it's probably because they're not happy and they want to go, and they're probably, oh my god, I can't tell Scott that I don't want to do this
Well,
anymore. You
that's
know,
true. Yeah, I like that attitude. Yeah.
right? So, because if they're not doing a good job, they're probably not happy. And I'm just going to say, listen, we'll just set it up front, right?
Right.
You know, love you, buddy, your family, but you know what?
You're
Like,
gone. You're out. You're fired.
do the old Jerry Maguire. You brought me to a restaurant, so I can't yell and scream, right? Make the scene.
Oh man.
Remember that? I
Yeah,
had
I
to
do.
bring
I
it up
never
because
understood that concept. I never.
what?
It's an aside though of going to a restaurant to either like break up with someone or to like fire them. It just seems so weird because then you're awkwardly sitting there after. I don't know. The whole thing seems very strange to me. I've never experienced that. That's for sure.
No. It's just a movie. But I just brought up Jerry Maguire reference in the
Yeah.
past, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just thought I would do it again. But anyway, no, everything's going good, buddy. Everything's going good. Um, I mean, I think it's that time of year. I mean, one guy on, I guess it would have been last Friday. Trying to remember, but anyway, yeah, I think it was last Friday. He bought like about $4,000 worth of soldiers, shipping them
Wow.
off. I give him a great deal on some stuff. So here's my way of thinking, Carl. Tell me if you do the same thing. He gave me a deal, like he asked for a deal on some soldiers. I said yes. He said when you're done with, I see you're asking price on these. No, they're the Indians with the horses, and they're like firing rifles and arrows, and they're really really cool pieces. Um, I had anywhere from 125 to like $300. But the problem is these ones were in competition with a lot of others. So the ones that are rare, like I got $350 for one and 250 for a few, and 150, that kind of thing. So if they're really rare and there's none available, those ones are selling pretty quickly.
Right.
But there's other ones that might have competition of 10 people. You know what I
Right.
mean? There's 10
Yeah.
other figures out there,
Yeah.
and mine's pre-owned. They're all claiming new, which I think they're full of shit because anyway, doesn't matter. But I'm going to say pre-owned,
Yeah.
good condition, that kind of thing. So anyway, so trying to get back on track here. So he said, if you find you can't get your price for them and you want to come down, he said he'd be interested. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm always interested in working out a deal. If you have a price in mind. I had no idea he was talking about buying everything that I had
Yeah.
listed.
Yeah.
You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Wow. Yeah.
So it came to pretty close to $4,000. And then he bought another 27 that just like that would have, I think the following Monday or Tuesday. I mean, my days are getting all mixed up here, but he on top of that, which came out to, I don't know, $800-900. So I'm shipping those out as well. I've already shipped those out. But anyways, so he's buying quite a bit, but he got a really good deal. So I've already made my money back and everything. So I don't mind making these little deals on the side. But I haven't gone through all the boxes. Like I went through at that time, I probably went through 7 or 8 of the boxes of the 18 original ones,
Mm-hmm.
and now I'm bringing in more. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Some of these figures are going to be worth $200-300, and I'm not letting them go for those cheaper prices. You know what I mean? So now I got to wait for feedback from him because I don't want to tick him off and get bad feedback. I want good feedback because he's asking for more, especially he's giving me certain like kind of more specific what he's looking for. Um. So, anyways, I'm kind of digressing here, but the long of it is now I got to be careful because I don't want to like upset him by saying no, I'm not coming down on these ones for a while that I'm about to list.
Yeah. That's
But
kind of awkward.
right, but at the same time, hey bud, thanks for
I
stepping up to the
know.
plate and really give me a good values on these rings, right? So,
It's funny. This brings up all my paranoia stuff, right?
well, it
It's
does,
like,
right? Get like, yeah,
like I'd be nervous, kind of like, I don't say anything's gonna happen, but I get nervous sending huge lots to one person for that amount of money. I kind of want to say, okay, let's send you one lot, see how that goes, and then we'll talk about another lot, kind of thing.
yeah,
I'm not saying that's the way to go. I'm talking about this is my own paranoia, right?
no,
And
yeah, I
and
agree.
so in the past, when I've had a lot of like similar valuable things, I put them up slowly because I kind of didn't want someone to buy them all at once. I kind of wanted to slowly just uh, uh, take them out one by one, right?
Yeah.
Um, but that's me. That's not a good way to do it. But I'm just saying that's the way I
Well,
came
so I
sometimes.
looked at this guy's profile,
Yeah,
and I did a lot of investigating on this. As
as
I
much as
use
you
the word
can.
investigating lightly. Like, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
there's only a limit what you can do. So, anyways, first of all, it's going to California. Second of all, my thoughts are he's asking for a lower price. If he was going to scam me, he would have just here. I'll just take everything. Here's the price, and then you know what I mean. It's not like
oh yeah,
he's you know what I mean. He's buying a
I
lot of
know.
stuff for $100. He's got thousands of dollars invested. So to be able to pay that up front, and then he's got a history going back. I think it was like to 2014.
Mm-hmm.
if that's right. So he's been buying for a while. So um, what
I'm
else?
paranoid. Let me put it this way: when I was at the booth last Sunday, I can find 2 bowls. My brain immediately goes to someone stole them, even though they were just put on a different shelf by me. That's
Yeah,
I have
no,
to
I
fight that
understand. I'm not.
paranoia all the time.
I looked at further into it because I'm kind of in the same mindset. Like I'm like,
Right.
what's going to happen? Like here, like so I looked at that point and it's going to California. I looked up the address because I said to him, I said, "Do you want a signature on these?"
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh no, they're going to get delivered to my office, and somebody will be there to receive them." Right. So all I care is that they show delivered. That's all I care about. Right. Like after that, eBay's going to have my back. I would suspect because it shows delivered. Right. There's tracking on all this.
Yeah. Like personally, what I do is I would have had sign on delivery just to make me feel better. But you don't need to have that.
Yeah.
I don't
I
think it
don't
makes
need
a
it.
difference, right? As far as I know, it doesn't make
I
a
only
difference.
care about signature to make him feel better.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
like what I don't want is someone leaving like an expensive piece of whatever on someone's stoop, and then it shows delivered by Gus, because I don't want it stolen either, right? Like it's like, yeah, I held up my end of the bargain, but when it's that valuable, I prefer that they just pick it up, and I'm sure they do too. But in this case, the guy said, no, no, no. You asked, right?
I
So
asked, and
that's the
it's
difference.
all in documentation through
Yeah.
eBay.
Yeah.
He's even sent me a photo of his phone number through the messages and said, I'm looking for more. If you have more, now, it was a specific brand. He goes, if you have more, um, let me know.
Hmm.
Picture of his phone number, and I'm like, all correspondence has to be through eBay. And I appreciate your I don't know. I said something. I appreciate your purchase or something like that, right? Like, because I'm like,
Cover your
oh my
butt.
god, like, this is just going to get me in trouble, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. You don't want to risk your account. Not that you asked for that, but
yeah,
I'm so paranoid. I hate it.
yeah. Well, you know what, dude? I looked at it this way too. I've already made my money back before this guy came along,
Hmm.
so I sent him some purchases. At the end of the day, I'm not going to lose anything, right? Other than potential future like sale of that product, but I'm not in a loss financially. I'm just not. I'm going to be at a lesser gain. So you know what I mean. So like, I
Yes.
guess what I'm saying is, if I had, if he bought everything I purchased, and I had $1,000 in this, and he's paying 4 grand for it, and if it's gone, I'm out $1,000 plus my time and everything, and plus the figures. Then that's a little bit more. I probably would have done this deal still, but it would have been a
Hmm.
little bit more risky.
Hmm.
But right now, I got nothing to lose. I just have less to gain if it turns out to be crap. But I really don't think it's going to be an
If you're
issue.
going to be paranoid in this business, you're never going to do anything, right?
And also, if anything's going to happen, maybe because of the weight of the one box, which I eventually, after I packed this one, I said to him, I don't want to go over like 30 soldiers, right? Like 30 boxes, because it just gets ridiculously heavy. So maybe a couple break in the way there. I'm gonna say no because most of them come with their foam and everything, and the ones that didn't, I still package tight and they're in a box. It's not like they're loose rolling around. So probably nothing will break. But if it did, I'm gonna say there's a small chance that something could. So what am I gonna do? Reimburse them another $100 for a couple of figures? You know what I mean? Like that's the worst case scenario I think is going to be out there. But at the same time, I really don't think that's going to happen. So I'm actually I'm very happy that there's people out there buying this stuff because I'm selling to other people on the side of a couple figures here and there too, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm getting a
It's an
lot of
in
good
demand item. Yeah. Which is
and I'm
nice.
getting a lot of good feedback. The King and Country seems to be huge score. I haven't even dealt with my Britons yet, other than a few of the lower end ones I put in the booth, and they're selling out of the booth. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I even put some boxes. Dig this one, Carl. I put some boxes, and we ran out of time on the Thursday. My plan was to come back the Friday, but I couldn't come back the Friday because I'm dealing with this guy who's buying $4,000 worth of inventory on eBay. I spent the whole day dealing with him. So, anyways, because he just kept buying more and more and more, and he keeps asking questions and what can I do for deals, and then
It starts getting very confusing.
it, that's another story. But yes, so anyways, I'm just so what I did on the Thursday, planning to come back the Friday, is I put some King and Country. One had a broken arm on the Indian, but he was on a horse. It was a beautiful thing. Luckily, I had a little sticky note with $50, broken arm, and those were notes for myself. So they weren't price tags; they were notes, sticky notes for myself when I put them in the booth. Glued head, $50, that kind of thing. So I'm going through probably, I think I've probably about 10 boxes, but my thoughts were to put $50 a piece on them, where if they were in really good shape, not broken or anything, they would have been like $80 to $150. You know what I mean?
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they're broken, and I'm just going to blow these ones out because they're broken. I don't want to deal with them. I can't put them on eBay. So anyway, some guy came along that he buys Britons from me. He's bought over 100 Britons off me already. He sees the King and Country because they're in the bottom case where all the Britons are. So they show him, well, there's no price tags. They're just $50. So he bought all of them for $50. All the broken ones. It said on the label, broken arm, all this. You could clearly see it. My notes for myself were on those boxes. So he came and bought all those. You know what I mean? Like, so
$50 each, right?
What's that?
$50 each.
$50 each.
Oh wow. Okay.
$50 each. Yeah.
All right. That's great.
Dude, that's awesome because now I have a buyer for that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
He won't go for the ones for 100 and 150 because he thinks that's too much. He'd rather have a broken one that he can repair himself for $50.
Well, more power to him.
Right? Like, it makes sense. If you look at the older ones, usually they're all paint chipped or they got like bends or breaks or different things anyways. In a lot of cases, not all of them, and people collect those still, right? It's just I have so many, I just want to put the good ones on eBay. I just want to put the
premium.
The premium, right? And then my whole idea was once those ones are sold off, then I would maybe lot up parts and repair or paint chips. Here's ones with paint chips. Here's ones with a broken arm and maybe a gun broken, that kind of thing. So that's kind of how I was planning on doing it. But now I just put them in the booth for $50 and I got a buyer.
Man. You're done for the year. You can take the rest of the year off now.
What? I'm just getting started, buddy. I'm just getting started. So anyways, I'm rambling on. Everything's been going pretty good. I did deal with a couple incidences. But anyways, how was your week? How was the booth, Carl?
Yeah, so I'm finding it was back to normal, like 80 to 100, more like 70 to 90 kind of that level. There's more traffic, but yeah, like I went and talked to a couple of the really experienced guys at the front of the market, and I know them, one guy really well and the other guy pretty well. And they said that they used to have $1,000 days and they're just not having those anymore. So I'm not sure.
When's the last time they had one?
Well, yeah, a while ago. So
like years ago, or like
I think a year ago or something. So and I don't really know when.
Okay.
So we'll see, but I'm not bored yet. So and I'm still enjoying it. But yeah, I sell a lot of the stuff actually to other resellers. So it's funny. I'm doing commissions. Like this guy gave me his records, and we're splitting the sold price on it.
Yep.
And so he was in giving me some really good advice too, and how to arrange things. So that was good. Okay. It was nice because he drove like an hour down and brought me a little cabinet to set up as well, which was nice.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, the only negative things that happened was someone actually got a really expensive jacket stolen on that Sunday from their booth. So I don't even know how you would walk away with a jacket, but a lot of the booth owners, including me, will walk away from our booths. We're not just standing there all day and visit other people, sometimes for a long time. because
Yeah.
you just you have to trust people to a certain extent. But it was kind of
Well,
sad to see that.
um, they also use a technique where there's more than one person involved, and they'll do a little distraction thing. Hey, I'll buy this $5 item. Get him to talk to me about it with his back to you. You grab the jacket and walk the other way.
There's that too, and that sort of thing. Like I actually had the guys were fine, but it was, my internal paranoia warning went up because I had a couple of guys just like that. But there's nothing in my booth. In my booth, we're stealing.
Yeah.
Like so, you
The
know.
the way the way I would combat that is get in the habit, and you're going to find yourselves a lot of times not doing it, but always try to take a mental note of, and you can easily swing people around, but always be facing your booth. Don't let someone make your back face your booth. You know what I
Oh, I
mean?
am always like that because of where I
So
sit.
yeah, so if you're
My
if
back is
you're
always to the booth. I mean,
if you're facing them
yeah.
and your back, if you're facing your booth and they come up behind you and ask you a question, kind of spin yourself around so that you can still face your booth.
Hmm.
So now they're to the side of you, and they're going to have to come in front of you so that you can overlook from, like, look behind them, because their back is now against your booth. So just little things like that. Like,
I
I
guess
don't know.
it's really hard to prevent stealing though if you really wanted to.
Yeah,
My main defense is nothing worth stealing. It's like, what are you going to steal? Like a $20 toy at most? Like,
yeah. And I would have my more expensive stuff at the back of the booth. So they got to come out of your booth with it rather than just buy your booth and grab it. You know what I mean?
oh right, yeah.
So
I do have some like sterling, but it's all locked up, so you can't. I don't even have it opened, so
yeah,
I'm not really worried about it. It was more like there's
you
some.
felt bad for that guy.
I felt bad for that guy, but also like at the end of the day, the crowd was a little different than I'm used to, and I didn't notice it, and I got paranoid. And then you hear about someone actually got something stolen, it just raises the heckles. But I'm not, I'm not really worried. It was just something. It was funny because I was paranoid about that at that particular time, and then something actually happened. It was funny. I did have a negotiation technique though. The guy, it's like, what was I asking for? Like $10, and the guy said 5, and I said 7, and he went 5, and I said 7, and eventually we made a deal for two things else.
I,
But
I,
it was just kind of funny. So I'm willing to negotiate, but I'm not willing to come down to half.
so if you said 7, he goes 5. I would have said 8,
It was
5,
funny.
850. Like,
And
you
then
keep going up now, right?
I know. It's just weird. It's just like I'm not going to half, man.
Yeah.
But the other funny one was one guy came up and said, "Oh, I spent all my money already. Will you take 5 for this or whatever it was, 10 or something?" It's like, no. It's like just because you spent your money has nothing to do with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That negotiation technique doesn't work with me.
Yeah.
I
Here,
was
I'll put
talking.
it. I'll put it over here in the corner. And I'll hide it. You can come back next week. Pay full price.
It's like those guys who like show up like when you're selling something off Kijiji and say, "Oh, I didn't bring enough money." Well, there's a cash machine down the street. You just have to go a
Yeah.
block.
Well, you got a square anyway. You can just bring out your square.
Well, that's it too. Yeah. So yeah, I really want to expand, which I'm going to say every week until I expand. Um, the other funny thing is like I, that I got that amazing chess set.
Yeah.
Well, it's when you look closer, like I don't know how they managed it, but like 70 to 80% of all the pieces had major damage on them.
Oh
So I
man.
just threw them out. It's
Yeah.
fine. I'll still do good on the set because each piece is still worth about $20,
Okay.
and I got like 9 of them. So what is that, 180 or something, if max? Plus,
Oh, you got 9 good pieces, then that's good.
yeah, it's fine. It's just it's not gonna be $1,000, but that's okay. It was
Yeah.
still worth it. I'm shocked they managed to break as many as they did. They must have really like slammed the lid down or something.
Yeah.
The other funny thing is the guy across me is a coin guy, right? At the booth.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about metal detecting. And he talked about it enough for me to go metal detecting. So after the booth, I went metal detecting in the park.
Oh.
I
Okay.
got 4 pull tabs and a piece
Yeah.
of foil. It's like, oh yeah, this is why I quit metal detecting.
I know a guy who was really into metal detecting, and what he would do is in the spring. So you know how you go to like a parking lot for like a high end mall,
Yeah.
and then in the winter they push all the snow into one corner,
Yeah.
right? Well, when that snow melts, he would go there and find rings and necklaces and
Oh wow. You don't even need the metal detector because it would just go nuts over all the garbage in there.
yeah,
You'd have to
uh,
do it visually. Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's what he said. So
Yeah. No,
um,
I've heard of people doing that too.
he
Yeah.
also had a major pop company. He had a a contract where every once in a while, like a piece of machinery where like a bolt or something would fall in those big pop bottles.
Yeah.
So he would have to find which pop bottle it went into.
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
so he would metal detect. They'd call him in and he would go and metal detect. And
That's funny.
it was like it wasn't like a full time job. It happened so rarely, but he was on that list of people they call. So
Yeah.
he was really into it. He would do trips to like England and
Oh
stay like
wow.
in a
Yeah.
bed and breakfast with the like he would go call a bed and breakfast with the pre setup type idea that he would be able to metal detect on that property. And
Yeah.
whatever he finds, he would I forget like I'm gonna say this, but I think it's wrong. But I think he said that they can keep. He just wants to go there to see what he can find, or he would split it 50-50, or I don't know. He had
Rules
some
in
sort of
England is it's 50-50 between the landowner and the metal detecting group,
yeah.
and the state has the right to buy whatever they find first.
Okay. Yeah, because he had some sort of rule set up that so
Yeah,
that's
it's a standard
probably
rule.
yeah, okay. Um
Or like sometimes around here, like we're never going to find anything too old here, obviously.
right.
So usually the rule is like with if you go to someone's house, is like you show them what you got, and then they can keep what they want. But usually, depending on the person, of course, but usually they just let you keep the trash you find, anyways. Like,
I think he found a lot of Roman coins and
well,
stuff,
in England's different, yeah.
right?
Obviously,
So,
you would find lots of Roman coins. Yeah, Roman coins are actually very common.
yeah, okay. So yeah, so that's
Yeah, so I went metal detecting. That was kind of funny.
nice.
Um, since I purged my eBay store, I'm pretty happy because like whenever I get sales now, they tend to be higher. So I'm
Oh, yeah.
so it's like it's funny. It's like instead of like you sold something for 10, you sold something for 50 or 60 or 40. It's kind of nice. I think I prefer that.
Yeah.
What else? I think October is being like I'm not going gung ho for Q4. I just been doing my thing. So I kind of probably missing out. I'll probably get enthusiasm in February once all the once all the good sales are gone, and then I'll start listing. Who knows with me? But yeah, that's pretty well it. Like I haven't. Well, I usually when I source, it's like I have to go out anyways. Like if I'm going to go to drop up packaging, I'll go. Or like that the guy I'm commissioning off. I went to his place yesterday, and so it's near the Valley Village. So I went there afterwards and stuff like that. This the guy whose house I was at. He has amazing stuff, but he's been doing this for 30 or 40 years, literally. So, but he has a lot of records to go through, and he has lots of just the normal stuff, right? But
Yeah.
it's good talking to someone else who's into this as well and getting their advice and stuff
You
like
well,
that.
you learn so much, right? Like that's how I learn is through the guys that's been doing it for that many times, that long. You know,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's about it. Uh, Time
I
still
I
goes.
I had two interesting sales. Remember that guy was beating me up for the Mad Ball,
Oh yeah, and you blocked
so
him.
I blocked him and I actually I sold it for 275. So
Not to him.
uh, yeah, so he
Nice.
lost out. He for 25 extra bucks, he lost out. I still have the basketball one, but I did sell the soccer ball one, and the guy seemed to be very appreciative and thank you, that kind of thing for accepting his offer. And I sold that grill that was broken. So remember, I said it had a crack in it.
Yeah.
So I sold the Mad Ball for 275 and the Dodge Charger grill, which
Hmm.
I would have put like $800 or 850 if it wasn't broke, but it did have a crack in it. So I sold it for 350.
No, that's pretty damn good to me.
Yeah. So and I paid 26 bucks for it plus I don't know, maybe say they 35 all in at an auction. So
How much did that cost to ship?
Uh, that cost like I think it cost like $50, and I charged 25.
Okay, I'm
So
not surprised. $50. I'm not surprised by that. For
yeah,
me,
it
the
might have
free
been like
October one was
48,
yeah,
48 and change or something. So let's say fifty
right,
bucks, right?
right.
So it actually wasn't that heavy, and it wasn't super long, so it could kind of go into a narrow box. I did bubble wrap it pretty good,
Hmm.
um, but it wasn't a full grill. It wasn't like from one end of the car to the other. It was three sections in that Dodge 66 Dodge Charger grill, and it was the middle section. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know, 2.5 feet, maybe. I don't know, 2 feet.
Okay.
So um so that was good. Yeah, if it was a grill and it went through like from headlight to head, like
Crazy.
that would have been a crazy
That'd be
shipping
$150 to ship. Yeah.
price. Yeah, that's right. So, and I found that FedEx isn't stepping up to the plate. They used to have some good values on their shipping, and they're pretty much right in line with Canada Post. So, I
That's funny because I've been shipping with FedEx the last 2 weeks. I
really
had a couple things. I never had anything go FedEx before. In the last 2 weeks, I've had two things go to FedEx. So yeah,
well, I found the FedEx was um, on bigger items, bigger heavy items was good, but they weren't too much more. That like they weren't worth it for me to not use Canada Post. You know what I mean?
yeah. If it's close enough, I'm not going to make the extra trip. Let me
Right.
put it that way. It had to be at least $5 or something for me to bother.
Yeah.
Usually, it's on the way. Like FedEx for me is convenient too. Like they're all convenient to be honest. So, but still, it's stopping there, going inside, finding the person. For me, they're at home hardware, which is always a funny store.
Yeah,
So
they're in our Staples Depot home
okay,
like
yeah, they're everywhere. I think so.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I don't know. I honestly, Canada Post can be a little bit crazy with their prices, both high and just especially when you're shipping to Alberta. But you know what? Like they're a very reliable
oh
company.
yeah,
You know what I
they
mean?
are.
Like they're definitely reliable. So I mean, and well, even Simcoe now. I used to hate going to the Simcoe one because there was a bitchy lady there, and she's just. It's almost like she hated life. You know what I mean? She was just
Yeah.
like every time. But now there's I don't know, three or four guys in the Simcoe one. They're pretty cool. They're just like chill. And then the girls in Waterford are very good, very professional. It's
Mhm.
funny, like in Simcoe, it's all guys in right now, and in
Yeah.
Waterford, it's all ladies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But um, but I trust the ladies more than the guys. If I go to the guys, I want a receipt. If I go to the ladies, I can just I can drop the packages off. They just seem to be a little bit more. I don't know, like
Professional,
I
like you
don't want to
said.
say professional, but just like you know, I don't know.
Legit.
Yeah, they're which is usually the case. If you go to Tim Hortons and it's all guys, like you're gonna be waiting 10 minutes for your coffee. If it's all girls, it's like right out the door. But guys just like to mess around and have fun.
I was gonna say the guys are like, "Hey, catch this!"
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. They're talking
heads
about the
up.
hockey game or something, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
So
let's just put this over here so it never gets scanned in, gets like on the shelf for 3 years. Yeah.
I think if I was to hire someone, I think I would honestly I would
Don't
probably
say this
lean
out loud.
I'd probably lean closer to hiring a girl
Yeah, I
because
know, eh?
they're more efficient. They really are, right? But
Um, yeah. I was happy with the free Tuesday one this week. I had those little spice jars that are really
yeah,
valuable.
yeah, yeah,
So I sold one of those. They're reproducing them, but thankfully they have second edition on the bottom of them. They're Lennox, I think Lennox, uh, spice jars. And this one was going to Newfoundland, and like not only Newfoundland, like but corner of Newfoundland. It was going to be over $27 to ship this little like 6x4x4. Thankfully, it was the free Tuesday one though, so it saved me all that money. It's like
yeah.
that. I almost want to block for that. I have blocked for Newfoundland before, like when we were talking about blocking last time. So, what if it's something I think they might be more of? I will block for that because it's like it was Newfoundland. It was these magazines. And I didn't make any money because the shipping is just so expensive to Newfoundland. It's like, I don't want this guy buying any more of my magazines. So I just block any Nunavut, any of that stuff. I block because I don't want those sales because you can't
Oh,
really
well,
set your
you're
shipping
losing
prices.
money. You're losing money.
Yeah. Yeah. You
You're
don't,
gonna
and you
book.
can't really adjust your shipping costs if you're listing on .com to account for that. You can if you list on .ca, but not for
Oh,
.com.
you can.
Yeah. You can put like this postal codes or like whatever
Okay.
cost more.
Okay.
Zoning. It's called, I think it's zoning. So, and
I'm
I
gonna
do
have to
have
look
that set
into it.
up.
I never even looked into that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I sent one to that island out near Vancouver there, and oh my gosh, like they must charge to go across the ferry or something.
Oh, I went when I sent things to Salt Spring Island, it was a fortune. And
Yeah,
yeah, it has to go across the ferry.
yeah, because they bought two B&Gs, and I had $15 for shipping on each, so it came to $30. And I think the shipping for them together, which really doesn't make it much different, right? They're small little figurines, but I think so I would have put $30 on it. I still think it came to like 40 or $50,
Oh
right?
wow.
So if they only bought one, I'm screwed because it's probably going to be the same price,
I know.
And I'm thank God they bought two because and I didn't reimburse them like combined shipping or anything. I just kept the $30,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
I hate when these remote communities buy off of me. It's cool on one hand, but horrible because you just lose money.
yeah, um, so I still made money because they bought two, but
You know
I,
what I
I'm
would
gonna
look
I'm
at
gonna
it?
go find it. I'm gonna find that listing and I'm gonna block
Yeah.
them because I never thought about it, but they're probably really going to be really happy with what they got. Oh, he's going to have more. I'm going to
Well,
buy
I'm
more.
sure these if I was out like I know it was a big case for Nunavut, is that there was a loophole out there that if you used a postal code that was slightly off, right? And you
Yeah,
bought it from Amazon, they Amazon didn't know that was a like a remote location.
yeah,
So they just charge you the normal like free shipping with Prime or whatever.
yeah,
It would go up to that location, that postal code that doesn't exist, but it was already up there. And it's such a small community that they know if you send it to this postal code, you really meant it for this postal code. And so you'd still get your package, but then the Amazon would get a chargeback on all the postage.
Oh my gosh.
It was a huge issue. And so Amazon finally closed the loophole and everyone freaked out because all of a sudden they couldn't get subsidized shipping anymore. I don't blame either side to be honest because it sucks. But the other thing too,
Well,
like
I'm going to stick with Amazon on this one. You know what I mean? If you want to live up in those places, like the government should have something in there to protect both. You know what I mean? Or like if
it
they
just
want
costs a
people,
lot to ship up there. That's the bottom line. It has to come in by plane and limited plane space and all that stuff too.
there should be something where Canada Post maybe they don't make as much or they make very little or nothing, but neither side should be penalized. There should be something like Canada Post making a fortune. You know what I mean?
Well, it
They
cost
should
them
have.
a fortune to ship it up there. It's not like they were making a fortune off of that. So the whole point was that yes, these remote places they just screw us over, and I don't know a solution to it. But you know what there is those flat rate boxes, eh? Do you ever check those out at the Canada Post?
I have not.
So I always forget about them until afterwards. But I and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it's flat rate to any postal code because once you buy the box, you fill the address in on the box, and that's it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Canada Post should have something like that.
Well, there is. You just
Okay,
but they're obviously expensive, but they could still be cheaper than as long as it fits the box, obviously. But I haven't
right.
really looked into it because it happens so rarely that it's not really being an issue. But knock on
Yeah,
wood.
I would say the only like there was some place really really north in Quebec, really really north in
Yeah,
Newfoundland, and then
yeah.
way west on that little island in Vancouver. Um, those are the three that stand out where I'm like almost fell off my chair when I saw the price
I
ship.
know.
But
I had north of Quebec off the main land up north on
yeah,
one of the little islands
Yeah.
above. And it's like, oh my god, where is this? I haven't even
Yeah.
heard of
Like,
this place.
yeah, I had somebody buy an axe head from way up there, and I'm
Oh,
like,
axe head. Oh,
yeah.
I haven't come across that. Axe
And
head.
it's just like the size of a medium Tim Hortons coffee cup, and I don't know, $50 to ship or something stupid. Like, I'm like, are you
And what
kidding?
happens if there's an issue? It's not even the shipping there. It could be the shipping back. You know, it's like,
Oh, there won't be no shipping back. It was like, it was ridiculous. I
yeah,
think the shipping was as much as the axe head. But anyway, doesn't matter.
that's
I
just
shipped it
funny.
up. I shipped it out there, made no money, but it's yeah, you know what? It is what it is. It's like you said, it happens so few that it's not really an issue, but it does. It just I shake my head like when I see it. Like it's just like this is ridiculous, you know. But anyway, hopefully he's enjoying his accent. But yeah, so there you go. I don't know what else to say. I think everything is going well this week. Was there any like really super issues that I was going to talk about? I don't think so.
I
Uh,
was watching Philly Flipper. Did you
oh
ever
yeah,
watch?
yeah. I was
He's
watching him too.
he's he's stopping all eBay now, eh?
Yeah, I think he's probably going to go back though. He even said, "Oh, I could go back in the future." I mean, there's times where things in life get upset you, but at the end of the day, I don't know. What do you
Well,
think? Do you think
okay,
he's
so to give some context to people who don't know,
okay?
so Philly Flipper, he's a pretty big channel now, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And he does a lot of whatnot. And he was basically saying that partially because of his celebrity, I think he was getting haters and also people who were giving him bad reviews based on haters. And I actually looked on YouTube a little bit. Yeah, I did find haters. It's like, really? You're picking on this guy, the Philly Flipper, Paul? Like, I don't know why. Nothing wrong with Paul. So anyway, so he got sick of eBay not having his back. And he kept getting scammed. And so he said, you know what? I'm making more on whatnot. And he said he's just gonna do all whatnot. So it's like, and the funny thing is I was watching $1 Million Peddlers, and one of the guys on there used to despise whatnot, but he's talking about going on whatnot more and more. So it's just one of these things that seems to be happening that for some people, whatnot is the way to go. I think not for me, but it was just kind of interesting to hear that. Because Paul, he's not one of the guys that's like he's had one problem, he's quitting on the whole thing and like
right.
it sucks. It's like no, he's having issues. And
Well, here's what I'm kind of thinking, and it could be wrong, but if I was going to do that, I would announce like he did, start up a new eBay store,
oh, a hidden one.
and not tell anybody.
Yeah, that'd be smart.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Paul the Florida Flipper, and no one would have an idea.
Paul the Florida. I would just, just come up with something,
Yeah,
you know,
that would probably be smart.
right? You could probably still cross list. He might even have talked to eBay and said, listen, this is what's happening. How can I open up a
eBay
new
doesn't
store
care.
under a new name and not lose all my listings?
No, eBay doesn't give a crap.
Well, no, but they might have a suggestion of how to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if you like cross listed everything over to Etsy, start up a new store, and then recross list it back over to your new eBay store. I mean, there's probably a way that could do it. If you in the States, I think maybe even with List
That's smart.
Perfectly, they store all your listings them just within List Perfectly. I think
Yeah. That's the
something like
smart
that.
way of doing that if you had to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably what I would do.
The problem with you'd have to talk to eBay because usually there's restrictions on new accounts, but
That's what I'm saying. So
yeah.
he could talk to eBay and probably they give him suggestions on how to do this. Because I don't think in the long run, like eBay still wants people to come out there and sell stuff. They don't want to lose you.
Well, I told you
Right.
eBay's dying. Like, come on. It's like it's lost. I'm just joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I know you are, but I'm just I'm just saying like people always get mad about certain things, but at the end of the day, Like
Yeah.
people are pretty reasonable. Like I would be surprised if eBay didn't have Paul's back to a certain degree. Like, listen, there's nothing we can do about this. You're just getting these haters. But
I would hope, but
it,
that's why he's quitting, because he was complaining that eBay doesn't have his back.
this is my point. It's
Oh,
all
do you want
smoke
me
and
to listen
mirrors.
or not?
It's
Okay.
all smoke and mirrors, dude. It's like,
Okay. Okay.
right? He's not
Okay.
really quitting. He's
Right.
saying he's quitting.
Oh, I see. I see. I
You know what
can't
I
think
mean?
on this 4D like you do.
What's that?
I can't think on this fourth level thinking like you. I'm just stuck in my little
Dude, I'm
3D.
multi level, man. I'm like, no, but seriously, that's what I would do. But uh because I mean that's a big chunk of his income, and it would be a shame that he's forced to really actually quit. Like, I'm not saying anything to hurt him because I don't know, what do we got? 60 follower on like nobody's that's threatening Paul is listening to the show. And second of all, even if he announced that I have a different channel, I don't know if it would be possible for people to find that. Like if he went under some like really, you know, cognito name, how are they going to find that? You know what I mean?
You have to know to look. Like I have found people's YouTube on YouTube. I found people's eBay stores just by like, this is what I found. I listed and I sold it. Well, I can now find your eBay store if I want to.
Yeah, but Paul's not going to do that. He's done like his channel, his YouTube is not going to show that,
No.
right?
Like I'm not that like, usually I'm just curious what other stuff they have, but I only check out the stores of usually friends, actually, to be honest. But even then I haven't done that in a long time. Yeah, it's anyways, I just want to bring up the Whatnot thing as much more than the Paul giving up on eBay. It's like Whatnot seems to be gaining a bit of momentum.
Well, I'm going to kind of explain why I think it is. So I think certain people with YouTube followings can use Whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if Whatnot is great for just any old Joe like me. You know what I mean? Because first
Well,
of all, why would I put up a toy soldier worth $50 to try to get 5 or 10 for it? Because I'm not going to have the same audience. You know what I mean? I
I
can't
think what
even build the audience for that.
I think I don't like the problem with Whatnot is it's not for me, so I can't really explain the appeal of it. Like to me,
I
it's like I go on there and it's like it's too slow. You can't buy it right away. I think for us Canadians, it doesn't really work out either because the shipping is stupid. So
right, and that's another thing too. But for Paul, like a lot of what I I could be wrong here. I haven't watched it for a while, but I'm pretty sure a lot of his Whatnot stuff is like plush. So he'll buy like 100 plush for $50, and then he'll sell them
cheap
off
stuff.
for like $3 to
Yeah.
$5. Comes to $10 with shipping,
Yeah.
right? So he's making five off of. He might make $500 on a $50 investment. You know what I mean? And I think Whatnot takes such a small percentage compared to what eBay and stuff does. So do
Yeah, I
you?
have no idea.
Yeah. So I think he's got something going for himself on Whatnot. I do, but I think it's based on YouTube followers. He's built a following through his YouTube channel, which is quite large, right? Like he's got a large audience.
Oh
So
yeah, his channel pivoted, right? Like you can't even watch him on, well, you can watch him on YouTube, but you can't interact with him on YouTube. He does all his lives through Whatnot and restreams through YouTube.
yeah,
So, but
and
his audience turned into a buying audience rather than, I'm sure there's resellers watching him too, but I think a lot of them it's not what we're doing, which is fine,
right,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And as for like success on Whatnot, do you need to be on YouTube? I don't know about that because there's a lot of people on Whatnot who I'm pretty sure do not have YouTube channels. So
yeah. I'm just assuming that's like I don't know how successful guys without YouTube channels are doing. I'm
I
just
have
saying,
no
guys
idea.
with you, I think his success came from his YouTube channel.
Well, it can't hurt, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, and not only that, like, can I sell a 1966 Dodge Charger broken grill on Whatnot for $350? Like, probably not. Like, he's
No.
got 3 minutes or 3 seconds or 3 minutes for someone to hit the button on that one. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah,
just don't think that's going to happen,
no. I
right?
don't watch enough of it to really know what's selling on there. Like I think I agree with you that it's a lot of cheaper stuff is selling well on there.
Yeah.
The only time I was ever interested in was when Popeye was doing
Postcards.
postcards, yeah, bulk lots. But even
Yeah.
then, he kind of, I don't know. I, I don't want to source off of there mostly because I'm a Canadian, right? But I know Storage Warrior does a lot on there, and she's in BC.
Yeah, but I think there's easier ways to do it too, dude. Like honestly, if I'm gonna get those kind of prices for stuff, I'm gonna throw it on a high bid auction. I don't have to do
Oh yeah.
pictures. I don't have to do anything. I just
Oh,
drop it off in a box, and they do it.
my friend, my new friend there, he made great suggestion. He said, whatever you can't sell, just throw into a local auction. And he was
Yeah,
really well. That was
yeah,
great advice. I've never heard anyone talk about that before.
dude. I talk about it all the time.
No. Let's throw that in there. It was just funny here. In fact, a lot of the advice he's been giving is like I've heard this from someone before. I can't quite place it.
Yeah. Oh, he's a smart cookie. Whoever you're talking to, I'll tell you that. He's like
One
4D chess player.
I know, yeah, exactly. One last thing I wanted to mention, and I don't like mentioning it because it's not really out yet, but like they're talking about changing. I think it's called Dementis levels, which I'm probably saying it wrong, but basically there's been an issue in the United States. So you know, like how we can export $800 worth of US stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
800 US dollars worth of stuff into United States.
yeah.
Well, they've been talking about changing it because there's a lot of Chinese companies taking advantage of that illegally,
Okay.
and they could affect us. But I don't even. I'll wait to see what actually happens, because what they're worried about is that a lot of these companies were getting around like things, especially for clothing, where they have rules on clothing being imported into the United States, and a lot of these Chinese companies were getting around that by claiming something else. So they're changing the rules. And what they're worried about is a lot of those companies will just shift things to go through Canada into the United States. So I'm just hoping we don't get swatted with we're aiming over here and we hit you by accident. Now, I'm not panicking about it, but it was just something on the radar that maybe we'll talk about in the future if it becomes a factor, because that would really
Well,
suck.
it's interesting you brought that up because that one purchase of his, I was concerned. Like it's over $2,000, right?
Yeah.
Like he bought four different groups of stuff, but the one was over 2,000, like $2,300 or something. I think it came to, and I'm what do I do? So I just put it through. I just, if it gets hit, it gets hit. If it doesn't, but it's probably a charge that he might be expecting, or or it's not gonna, like, if it's an extra $50 when you're spending 2,300, or like, I just don't know what it would be, right? Like that's probably going to be acceptable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I have no
so
idea.
he's already invested quite a bit, so I'm putting it this way. He did ask for lower prices, so that makes me think on one side, but on the other end, money didn't seem to be too much of an issue.
He's getting it sent to his office in California for someone else to deal with.
Near Anaheim, like near the Disney World, like a couple blocks away. Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'll probably be in my Lamborghini driving around.
Toy soldiers falling
Venice
off the
Beach,
back.
Venice Beach.
Yeah. It's probably going to be okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't. Just we'll see. But yeah, we're getting back. I'm kind of digressing again here, but it's getting back to
Toy
the
soldiers.
to do that. Yeah, toy soldiers, toy soldiers.
Toy
I'm gonna
soldiers.
be I'm gonna be like seeing toy soldiers like jumping in, like when I'm dreaming. It's just
Yeah.
gonna be flashing. Dude, there's so many toy soldiers here right now. It's insane. It is insane. But
Oh,
there was even like loose ones, but in like zip bags, all labeled. Like I even bought plastic ones, like plastic Britons, I think they were.
yep.
And like there's just so much. It's just insane. Like I couldn't believe it. I'm trying to pack the truck tight and it was completely filled. The back cab, the front seat, and everything under the tunnel cover. It's just,
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, this is more than 10 or 20% of everything they had. Like this is more like 40% or something. You know what I mean? Like I'm just saying there's a lot of them around, but anyway.
Toy soldiers. Should we get into the comments? We're about an hour in. Do you want to get into the comments?
We talked an hour on toy soldiers.
Hey, no, it's an amazing deal. I'm very jealous. I think it's awesome. You've done well. It's going to be a lot of your income for the last few months. Like, yeah, I should be excited, right?
Yeah.
And you just got a bunch more, like literally days ago. Like yesterday. Literally yesterday.
Yesterday. Hasn't even been 24 hours.
No, it hasn't even been 24 hours. So,
you know.
Yeah, of course it's going to be top of your mind.
All right. So should we get to the auction? Should we get to the comments?
Yes, let's get to the comments.
Do you want to start first? So I just want to say Dawn totally skipped us last week. So she's making up this week.
Oh, I haven't hit the read more bit yet.
But she didn't leave a comment last week.
No.
Right? So
that's right.
So do you want to read it or do you want me to read that one?
I'll start.
Okay.
So Dawn, I want an apple fritter. Where's mine, Scott? Yeah, I want an apple fritter too. The free shipping Tuesday thing is one shipment within Canada or one to the US. I used mine on a US shipment last week. Yeah, I didn't realize that. But then I remembered when I read that like the 1 year you got a free one to Canada and to the United States.
Oh wow.
And 1 year we got like one of those free flat rate boxes. So it's funny. They do change it up after a while, but
I think there's certain conditions too though, right? Like not just
weight conditions, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But I think it like if you go over the limits, I think it uses the max discount it can.
Oh, and then you pay for the rest. Okay. Well, that makes sense. That's good.
Good shout out for Two Dogs, Diggs, and Carl too, I guess. Just want to point out though that it's 2 days after posting this episode and there are no links in the description.
Oh my god.
Hold it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, where's the links? I'm sure it'll be there.
I'm going to put it in this one. I got to put it in this one. There'll be a link.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I believe you.
Why did you bring that up? I forgot. Oh my gosh. All right. Thanks, Don.
Our Thanksgiving Monday is Indigenous Peoples Day in the United States. Used to be called Columbus Day. Oh, okay. So Scotty wasn't full BS on that one. I was like skeptical that he's just making up holidays, but no, he was right. He was right.
Okay. I believe you. All right.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever you say.
Okay. Hey, it's my turn. You were right, Scott.
Scott's right.
I blocked
I'm used to being right.
Yeah, you're on the right.
I sure am.
I blocked someone and they didn't even purchase from me. They just messaged me about a postcard and said, "Do you enjoy being so overpriced on eBay? This is a $2 card in all reality. Thank you." I didn't respond though. I just blocked. But I don't block very often. I'm with Carl. I just move on with my life. Unless they're being a complete dinks or trying to scam me, I tend to not to care.
That word always gets me to laugh. Say that. Start over again. I just what? I just move.
I just move on with my life unless they're being complete dinks or trying to scam me. I tend not to care. I know Paperboy from $1 Million Peddlers has a block list somehow long though. Yeah, so Paperboy, I find it's funny. He has this segment which on his show where it's like, low ballers.
Yeah.
Well, all I ever think is like, well, you can turn off low ball offers. So you've purposely made it so people can send you offers and then you block for getting sent low offers. It doesn't make any sense to me. You have options here. You could totally turn off the low ball offers. But no. Hey, each their own, I guess. Carl, maybe we're the weird ones. Well, that's true. I'm not even going to argue that one. We're not bothered enough. Yeah, I'm bothered. I forget things pretty quickly, and that's my superpower. It's good and bad, and I forget things so quick. Yeah,
I just block,
I block. Like
block.
I said, for these remote sales in Canada, I'll block for that. They've done nothing wrong. It's not their fault. I just don't want to lose money sending them more stuff. And some of these towns are so small that you block someone, it's like 5% of the population up there.
Yeah, really.
Carl, if you think nobody's actually looking at the bottom shelf and you don't have something that would be seen down there, you could try putting a curtain of fabric across and to put some extra stuff down there to swap out with some other items each week, or something to make your booth look a little different whenever people come by. Yeah, that's a good idea. I actually might do something like that, because like I do have storage I need. Like I hide it under a table, but I have, like, things like bubble wrap and bags, shopping bags and stuff like that. I need to store it in the booth somewhere, and might as well take advantage of that like non-used spot. The Coleman lanterns are a good idea, though. Yeah, I haven't done that yet. I have to listen to the rest later. Stay tuned for more comment novel. I don't see any more comment novel. That was it. But thank you, Don.
Yes, thank you, Don. It's good to see you.
Exactly.
All right, so I'm going to jump over to Spotify. We have a Spotify comment from Tina Mack, and it is on the Toy Soldiers show, which is our number. It was our last week's show.
I was going to say which one, because we talked about it every week for like 3 or 4 weeks now, I think.
What did we talk about?
Toy Soldiers. Toy Soldiers.
Toy Soldiers. Tina Mack. Wow, Carl, you get more money this week from Toy Soldiers than both. Okay, so this was because we were going to do a game where every time I said Toy Soldiers,
the buck,
I would give you money. So
I make more money off you saying that than I did in the entire day. That $16 day was pretty sad.
I think it's at least $25 that you're making today.
Oh,
wow, man. That is a good one. That is like
I brought in more Smurfs hoping they would save me this last weekend, and no one bought anyone. And someone wanted to buy the display unit, though. It's like, no, it's my display unit.
Did you take in your Stife bears?
No, I didn't. I don't know
what are you doing?
I know. Honestly, my booth is full. It's full. So like this last,
they're like 4 little Stife bears. I'm sure you can find room for them.
I know. They just didn't get there. And I know me talking about my booth is the equivalent of like Toy Soldiers we're talking about over and over and over again. Yeah. But I've been pulling stuff out now.
Dude, what are you doing? Just leave it there. Stop working so hard.
Some stuff it's just like it's been 2 months now already, believe it or not.
Dude, when you have 5 people come by your booth and you leave early on the one day, like I thought things need time to kind of marinate with people, right?
I guess. But if no one's even looked at some of this stuff,
it doesn't matter. It only takes one person. Trust me, you're going to be doing too much work. They will sell.
I got nothing else to do. I'm just standing there all day.
Yeah, but you're not giving it a chance. You got to give them more of a chance. Trust me. Sometimes things it's the way the booths work, right? Just if you're going to do anything, expand, right? Like once people come through there, they're going to start buying. Like I got nervous there the other day because I started putting a lot of action figures in my booth, and I put a lot of I'm going to use this term higher end DVDs. I'm going to use that loosely, but they're DVDs or VHS tapes that go for good enough money to put them online. But I'm going to put them in the booth to see if that clientele's there. And I'm getting nervous. And all of a sudden somebody comes in and they'll buy a couple action figures. People will buy a bunch of DVDs. I had a Batman full series set for $45. Somebody came in and bought it, was so happy to have it there. And I was a little bit nervous, right? Nothing of that nature had sold for like about a week of putting it in there, not one item. And all of a sudden everybody's buying them. You know what I mean? So it's just a cycle. It's just a cycle. And once it hits, then you want to make sure that stuff's there, right? So
I guess I pulled out all the CDs though, because they're all garbage. The funny thing is
there is a difference. There is a difference between like if you have records that were all like polka and all that kind of stuff for like that kind of stuff you want. You want the classic rock records and stuff like that. So I would say CDs would follow the similar thing.
Yeah, and I donated almost all the records I bought that fell into the polka crap. And
Yes.
I actually turned them into coupons that had more value than me selling the records.
Well, because not only are they not going to sell and they're just sitting there, but they're taking up space that you could put
Yeah.
good stuff that's going to sell.
Yeah,
Right.
that's why I got
So,
rid of the CDs. DVDs have actually, I can't complain. Like I sell like $15 of DVDs every weekend, which is
yeah.
like almost half my booth cost.
Yeah.
And
I,
they're like almost every weekend. So,
and
you
you
know,
just loosely put them in a tote slide them under a table, and people pick through them.
yeah, I have them on a bookcase. But yes.
Yeah, to each your own. I just don't like, because they're low value items, but they usually get bought in bulk, so they're kind of higher value items. If you can understand the logic behind that.
Yeah, people rarely buy one. Usually they buy three because I
Yeah.
sell 3 for $5 kind of
Well,
thing.
there you go. Perfect. But if you just throw them in a tote, those type of people
Yeah.
will crouch down and dig through a tote. Right?
Yeah. It's like there's
Like, don't have one of those 3-foot thick totes. You want to have a thinner tote. You know what I mean? Or if it's a
yeah.
thicker tote, you're not going to fill it quite full. It's half full. You know what I mean? Because you want them to be able to easily get to the bottom of that and check them all out. But they're just gonna dig through them, right?
Yeah, I thought about like the digging versus the organized. I went with organized simply because my booth isn't that big. It's kind of hard to dig, especially from some of the people who are buying these are older people.
Yeah.
And often actually the younger people, but whatever. It can be a little hard to dig in my small booth, so I just have them so you can see. But whatever.
So can I ask you,
Yeah.
Carl? I know I'm going to digress on this a little bit harder, but
Okay.
how do you have them? Like books lined up in a row?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to suggest something a little bit different, and I'll tell you why in a second. But try to find out a box that fits very tightly, but not squeeze tight, but you don't want more than like a couple, half a centimeter on each side of the DVD. Set them in a long box like comics and let them flip through like comics, because they want to see that cover art. That's going to draw more of a buy when they see, like, a lot of the cover art, and I'm really talking horror movies, is more appealing than the name. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you can throw them on a table in a long box where they can flip through like they're flipping through comics, it's easier for them than to try to read a spine that's going sideways. Like, you almost have to tilt your head sideways to read that label. You know what I mean? But if they're just flipping through, the name's usually at the top or center of the front cover, and they're just going to flip through it, and you can still have a long row of probably 40 to 60 DVDs on that table, but put them in a long box. That's what I do with my CDs as well. Well, I do it with my CDs. My DVDs, I just throw them in a box.
Well, records aren't like that, right? Records.
Yeah, just like records, 100%. Yes.
So with the records, I don't mind because it's like, one, they have more value. The records are worth like, at least 10 to 25, kind of that range. So I don't mind because I lose the space above it, which we talked about before. It would be the same with the DVDs, but the DVDs are only worth a couple bucks, right? If my booth was bigger, I would, like, right now they're in like a, the IKEA Billy bookcase kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're in one of those, and they're like exactly like you said, like books. But that's mostly so I could get the vertical space out of that corner, and it's
Right.
in the cheapest part of the booth. But if I had a bigger booth, I would do what you said. I could put like pictures and stuff behind it.
Yeah.
It's just the way I had it before, it was very awkward. It was basically was on a table and all these like, half boxes, where like, it's only the bottom half of the box kind of thing. And you could look at it like that, but it was very awkward for people, and you couldn't see all the DVDs without moving other DVDs out of the way. It was very awkward. So I agree that preferably I'd have exactly what you said, but I'll have to wait until I expand, because then I'll have the room to do that. But right now, I'll send you a picture. It's like I'm pretty crammed in already. So
Okay.
I'm at that point. But it's
You
a
know,
good
I
point.
mean, at the end of the
I
day,
agree
I
with you.
shouldn't try to chime in too much because you're selling them, so they're whatever you're doing is working.
Yeah,
I
I'm
just think
selling them.
it's
Yeah.
I just think it's easy for people to flip through them
No,
and
no, I agree. I agree.
really
It's like the records.
appreciate,
Yeah.
right? So
It's just like the records. The records, well, records, there's no room on the spine, right?
right.
But I still agree with you with DVDs. It's better to flip through DVDs. It's just that if I had the room, I'll convert to that. But right now, I don't really have a choice.
Like if you go to a Value Village and you try to look at the DVDs, like it really I lose interest very quickly because I'm just trying to read the little bit of a spine,
100%. No, you're right. I agree with
right?
you. Yeah.
So okay, so Tina Mac's still here. Seriously though, hope your weekend is better with the nice weather and that Scott pays up.
Yes. Just like the links, I'll just wait on that.
I'm glad I didn't do my drinking game. I'd be dead because that was the other part of it. She's
Oh,
gonna
the
have to
drinking
drink
for every
on
time you mention toy soldiers. Yeah,
Soul Soldiers. Yep.
yeah. Well, Tina, you
So
should watch. I know you're not into. I know you don't want to do social media and all that, but if you ever want Scott sell stuff Sunday night, you could always just lurk there. And we have a drinking game for that. Is whenever someone sells something on the show, we
yeah,
all have to take a drink. So
but usually I'm just drinking coffee or water.
I
But I'll
know
have to step it up.
you're not getting into it. That's okay.
Um. All right. So you wanted the next one, Carl?
Sure. Doing it wrong.
Thanks, Tina Mac, for the comment.
Yes.
By the way.
Thank you, Tina. Doing it wrong. Total store value is just one metric for determining your potential profit. I agree. Value, velocity, quantity, and ROI. Y'all don't fight over that word. Are all part of the equation for how much you can potentially make. And no, I didn't bring the topic up. Yeah, I remember that from last time. So yeah, those are all like I agree with doing it wrong. Those are all really good points. Value, you want to have good shit. Velocity, you want your shit getting out of your store quickly. Quantity, well, if you have lots of shit, it's good. And ROI, yeah, you want good returns on your shit. So
You're just saying that. You said return on investment's not that important.
no, it is important.
Oh,
Did
okay.
return on investment? Okay, there's different ways. The problem is these terms are used in so many different ways.
ROI,
Yeah,
ROI,
yeah.
ROI,
All right,
ROI.
let's not even get into it. But yes, the one. So out of those four, the one I'm not the best at is actually velocity.
Yeah, because you're too stuck on your price. You want top dollar for everything,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I do.
So, yeah.
It's my bugaboo.
Um,
But I getting better. I let some things go this last weekend, and I lowered my prices a bunch of stuff. So
I think I try to gauge on the situation of each item and determine what kind of deal I'm going to give someone. For instance, those Mad Balls. If he came out and said that price right off the bat, I probably still wouldn't have said it. But the fact that he agreed to a price and then he tried to come down even more, I'm not going to budge on that. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like
well, he
I,
broke the
I'm
deal.
I'm done with you now. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
got
Now you're
personal.
just being a right. But there's a
I'm also
lot
worried
like
about that. Like that kind of guy who does that sort of thing is going to do something after he gets it too, right? So it's not even
they
a
could.
case of him breaking his word at the last second. It's how is he going to change the deal again afterwards? I just don't want to like you're going to sell it. You're going to sell it to someone else and screw that guy. So
But if I had that Mad Ball sitting at like a year and a half,
yeah,
I'm
you'd be
probably
more.
going to take that deal.
Uh,
I'm not going
yeah.
to like, fine, whatever. You know what I mean?
And for me too, it's like when the booth is physical space that's taken up.
Yeah.
Like when it's stuff online, it really doesn't take up that much space in my house. Like honestly, it's only two right now. It's probably 2 or 3 bookshelves at most of actually listed stuff. It's not that much. But in the booth, hell yeah! Like I have this big stable with a horse in it, which is stupid. I'll let it go for $10 now because I just want it out.
You want it out, right?
Yeah,
So yeah. So there's a lot of things you can part with very quickly, and there's some you can't. and it all determines on the situation of it. So, but okay, so I'll read one of Randy's comments here. Randy, Nova Scotia Celt 5218. The assumption is that the retail value of your store goes up, then your sales will, but you can only list what you sourced. And that was a conversation that you and I had
Mm-hmm.
going on about. Well, should we get into it a little bit, or is it like
Well,
because
basically,
you were saying like you like to monitor how much value is in your store,
I'm
and I
saying,
was kind of in line with Randy. I think here I don't know what he's going to say beyond this, but that's out of my control. I can only list what I can source. So I worry more about what I'm paying for items based on their value, and I just list it, and whatever happens happens, right? Because
yeah, I'm not saying this is going to affect anything you're doing. I'm just saying it's a different source of information about how you're currently doing.
yeah, I don't worry about that though.
I
Like
know, but you're doing really well, right? Like you don't have to. Like for me, it's like a case of like if you don't track that number, right? And you just look at your number of listings. Well, according to me, I'd be doing a lot better because I have a, you know, I especially before I purged, I had probably twice as many numbers of items online than I did 3 or 4 years ago. But I'm
right,
having quarter of the or half the amount of sales. So
and
if I
I'm
don't
not
have so if I don't have that number, I'd be like, what the hell's going on? I have more stuff online. I'm selling a lot. I'm making a lot less money. What's going on? But because I track also how much the value of the total items in my store, I can see the total items in my store has dropped by half. So you can't sell what you don't have. So it's just an information number, though. It's telling me, oh, here might be what's happening. It doesn't alter what I'm doing. It doesn't
right,
alter what I source. It doesn't alter what I list. It's like a warning sign, like this little lights going off, beep beep beep. There's a problem here,
yeah,
and you should be aware of it. But it's not changing my behavior really.
yeah, and I'm not saying that you're wrong on that. I'm just saying it's something that I just haven't, I guess in your words, had to because things are doing okay. But I mean, it's just not something that I've concerned myself with. Like I try to find things over a certain value to begin with. Like if I'm going to list it online, I want it to be worth $30 or more. You know what I mean? So that kind of thing I pay attention to. Everything that's under that doesn't mean I won't buy it. It's just because if I'm getting it at a good price, I'm going to throw it in the booth.
Well,
You know what I mean?
that's my whole point. You just made my
Right?
point
Okay.
that
What?
your cheaper stuff, cheaper or whatever, the stuff you don't put online, right,
Right?
is going to be in your booth. So it's not even going to affect your online sales.
Exactly. Exactly. So I
So
don't worry
you've
about
dealt with the problem by it's in
it.
a
Well,
different way.
well,
Like for me, it was
okay.
the case of like a
That's
lot
not
of
true. That's not 100% true, Carl.
sure, okay, well,
Because so put it this year, and we said this last week too, that I'm going to have a blip in right now because I've got all these toy soldiers. I can list them quickly. They have really good value, and I'm probably not going to see this type of purchase for a long time. It might be a couple years before I see something like this again. So if I compare this year's numbers with that next year's numbers, okay, sure, you're going to be able to look at your chart and say, well, I had more value in the store, but I'm just going to look at my brain and say it's because I bought those toy soldiers and they were so easy to deal with and worth some value. You know what I mean?
yeah, this
So,
information, like,
so
yeah,
I'm not saying your information's wrong. I just
mhm.
don't need. I mean, maybe in the future I'm going to say, "Geez, Carl was right. I need to pay attention to this." But honestly, if I'm listing, if I'm listing the same amount of stuff, it's all going to be over $30. The other stuff is going to go into the store. Like it's not like I'm buying more under $30 items and listing them on eBay because that's not my business model. You know what I mean? Because that stuff
Yeah,
goes to
you
the
don't
boot.
have the problem because you have a self-correcting mechanism there, right?
And
Like I gave the example of me
yeah,
where the number of listings I have in my store pretty well doubled
yeah,
and my sales dropped in half. If I thought complete value of my store hadn't changed because I don't track it, I might be a little confused to what's going on. But because I do track that, I can see, well, what's my average item value I have up, and I can see it dropped a lot, right? So
But that can be
because
confusing
it
too
also
and
it
misleading
also
because
shows it
you could
also
be
shows that I had a lot of crap that was kind of rotting in my store, like stagnant inventory as well,
or overpriced.
or yeah, or both, yeah, or
Yeah.
stuff that should never have been on there in the first place.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say. You could have a bunch of overpriced stuff too, which
Yeah,
is going to make your store look just as valuable on paper, but in reality, nobody's buying it because it's been sitting for a year and that product has dropped 50% in value. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Something like that.
yeah, yeah.
So
It, like I said, this is not like the be all and end all figure that's going to tell you everything that's going on in your store.
yeah,
It's just another low light on the dashboard of what's happening.
but I think I try to pay attention to that. Like, there's a lot of things I'll pay attention to daily, weekly, and monthly, and maybe I just do by natural because I care. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's when I care. Like I haven't done my accounting probably in 6 months, so I'm not even really on. Like I keep track of basic stuff, but even then, I not like the store value is easy because it basically you just go and look at your listings and tells you the store value right then and there. There's no work, so I track that stuff
On eBay.
on eBay. So I
Yeah,
track that every month because there's no work. You just go to your listing page and gives you all tells you how many listings you have, and it also tells you the total value of your store. You don't
yeah.
have to do anything, right?
And you also look at your like you're constantly bombarded as soon as you go in your 90-day totals.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
you could record that too. I don't
Like
actually pay attention to that one. It's funny.
I can't help but see it because it's there,
Yeah.
and I'm at way higher than I've ever been
I
since
think
I
I
started.
stopped tracking that when that number went down. There's
Well, it's not
I
like I'm
tracked it all the time when it
tracking
was
it.
going up and up and up, but now
It's not like I'm
it's
tracking it.
flat.
Every time I go on the app, it's right there on my face.
But I
Like it.
meant, yeah, I used to record it. Like I hit a new high and stuff like that, but
Uh,
I'm hitting the
like
lows now.
I'm at my all time high right now, but a lot of that has to do because I was able to list so many toy
Toy
soldiers
soldiers.
at one shot.
Yeah.
They're very simple and easy, and I got some big hits, like some big sales. So that's going to skew things compared to next year's numbers. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, and you'll see it if you tracked every month. You'll see the
yeah.
blip.
So
You can't take any number in isolation.
yeah. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying that. Um, so where were we? Sorry, I was at Randy. So
Yeah.
I'll finish this one. Um, so we just went out of the cornfields. There we go. If all you have is VHS tapes and no toy soldiers, then that is what you list. As far as sourcing for the booth, flea market or eBay, I had to stop buying things I like because that is that is uh,
Isn't
I like because that doesn't determine its
right.
saleability. Carl and Scott, thanks again. Randy, toy soldiers. No, 100%,
Oh yeah.
100%. That you can't buy like I can buy stuff and then like it, but I don't buy stuff just because I like it. You know what I mean? Like those toy
It is hard.
soldiers stuff, like after I bought them and opening up and really like looking at them, cleaning them, look like I just look at the like some of these are like amazing. You know what I mean? But I bought them because I know they sell and I've researched them and then appreciated the liking them, you know?
Yeah. Like for buying stuff that you like and you have to be careful about that, then that's a huge difference between the flea market and eBay. Is I don't on eBay it's easy to tell if people if something is in demand or not. You can see what things sell for. You can see how many people have it offered, right? You can see that ratio. But with the flea market, like I've been experimenting a bit with that. Like I said, I bought those silks or I bought those pins or I bought those tin types. I can kind of see like these things are cool. Like the tin types, I think are cool. I put them out just 1 week, so it hasn't been long enough, but none of them sold. So it could be like, oh, I think this is cool. Other people might even think, oh, these tin types are cool, but they're not actually buying the tin types. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it, and I'm not saying tin types are not selling. I'm just using that as an example.
Sure. It's
But
like the copper fire extinguishers, like the old
yeah,
one.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
It
Like,
looks cool.
wow, that looks really cool. It's fireman related and
Yeah,
you think people they would have
It's
a hard
checking
time
all the boxes.
staying on on the shelf, but
Yeah,
you can't sell those things. Like they sit around for a long
yeah,
time,
yeah,
and you're
yeah.
not going to get top dollar like what you think they're worth. They're probably worth 40 to 60 bucks. You
And
know?
that's the big difference, like with the flea market and online, like I just said,
Yeah,
is determining what's cool, what can you find, but what actually people want to buy
yeah,
is much more difficult.
yeah.
It's completely different.
I find myself liking stuff that people like because it sells.
I
Oh,
think, yeah, I
right.
think,
Like if I
I,
saw a Mad Ball,
yeah,
I would look at it and say, that's like $20 kid toy.
you would
But I
never put
really
that
like
in the
them
flea
now
market.
because they're a $275
True,
adult toy.
but
You
you
know?
know that because of eBay. Like you
Right.
would never ever get that in the flea market booth. Like people laugh at
Oh
you
no.
trying to get
Well,
$300 or $400 for a
it's
plastic
it,
toys
it's
kid
actually
ball.
funny you said that because I had a talk with the owner of the store, Anna, and I showed her
Yeah,
that before I sold it. I said, I'm thinking about putting this in here. I don't want you guys to laugh at it, but this is what they're going for online, and I want to see if this clientele's here. I also said the exact same thing about VHS tapes. You're going to see me put $100 on a VHS tape, and I want to see if that clientele's here because I sold some for like $400, right? Like, so I kind of warmed her up to the idea of why I'm doing this. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because I don't want people to laugh at me because they're going to. But it doesn't mean that that clientele's not here. I just
true.
want to see if it is here, but it's probably not here,
That Yeah, I can't agree with you more.
right? So,
Yeah, because
but it,
yeah, no, like you can't. Sometimes you can't wait for the person who knows that toy's worth $400 to walk through your flea market because it
yeah.
could be never.
But I'm gonna assume, and in Froggy Flips has a very big channel. Like he's probably 400,000 or 500,000 subscribers. And when you get that type of subscriber amount, there's a lot more people watching than have subscribed because he pops up on their TV and stuff like that. So I'm going to say Froggy Flips might have pushed the Madball craze to ultimate levels right now because that's one thing he likes and he collects, right? You know
Mm,
what I mean?
mhm.
So there's probably a lot of people that go through the Waterford Antique booth that watch those type of shows. If they do, they're probably seeing Froggy Flips. He talks about Mad Balls quite often. He has them displayed behind him when he talks. And now I'm just wondering, does that create that type of clientele in this area that goes through the booth? There's a lot of people that go through our store every month. There's no question. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's outlandish to think it would sell. I'm going to assume it probably wouldn't, but I don't know. I'm kind of digressing here, but it's funny that we talk about this because I did tell the owner, listen, this is what's going
Yeah,
on.
exactly. This is
Just prepare
why.
yourself
Yeah, I know.
because she's going to look at it and say, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah, exactly.
But she also says, she goes, Scott, it doesn't surprise me. She goes, half the stuff you put in your booth, I've never seen before. You know what I mean? So anyway, there you go.
I would be less reluctant to put things in the booth that are unique and unusual because people are looking for that live. They want to see that live, right? So
Yeah.
that stuff I'm actually less reluctant putting in the booth versus online because something unique online can be hard to come up with the keywords that will actually get people to search for it, and people might not be searching for the weird lamp that someone handmade out of a street lamp with multicolored lights in it. Like no one's searching for that online, but in the booth it'll go instantly because that's so unique and people want interesting decor.
Yeah, I think you have to mix your booth up 100% with unique items too. Because the last thing you want to do is have 80 vendors in the store trying to sell the same stuff,
Yeah,
right?
that was actually something that my friend brought up. He's because he went to visit and he said the only problem with this flea market is there's too many vendors. That kind of surprised me. I never heard anyone say that before because he
Well,
said there's actually a lot of competition here,
yeah.
which
Well,
surprised me.
so I'm not disagreeing with that because I do agree with that. But at the same time, I'm going to I'm going to say it like this. I don't care how many vendors or people are selling on eBay, as long as they do a good job and they represent everybody equally. That being said, the size of the building is more important to me than the amount of vendors there. Because if I go to a Woodstock, which is 3 levels, huge building, people just get bored. Like you can only look at so much in a day, and all of a sudden your mind is going numb. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I think our store works so well, is because it's kind of that sweet spot. We have, when I say 75 to 80 vendors, that's 75 to 80 spaces. I have 3 booths, so I take up 3 vendors. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we have 2 levels. You can comfortably grab a coffee, walk at a decent pace, and look around. And by the time you're finished that coffee, you're probably ready to leave. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And you've probably passed by every booth, or you're about to pass by the last 10 booths. Or you know what I mean? Like it's kind of that comfortable sweet spot, and it's not hard to get around. It's not like you're going through a maze. I've been to places where there's a maze. And you don't, did I go that way? Have I been here? You know what I mean? It's not. It's just, it's easy aisles. You're just going up one aisle and down the other, and then you're back to where you started.
Where I am, it's a bit of a maze.
And that makes it tough, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're your first time there, you don't know where anyone is.
No,
You
I've
know what
heard
I mean?
people say, "Did we go down here already?"
Yeah, 100%. For 100%. So, the booths are like, it really is set up properly. Like it's not anybody purposely setting it up like this. It's the way the building was structured, and it's an older building, and it just fits what's going on there perfectly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was actually asking about that from someone at the building because I thought it was an old cattle shed or something, or like had pigsties or whatever. And it's like, no, it was custom built to be a flea market. I couldn't believe it because it's like these weird long corridors, like going off in branches. It's so
Yeah,
strange. It's so
that's strange.
strange.
Yeah, it should. I think it should be very very streamlined and easy for the customer.
Yeah, it's like whenever they had extra money, they went like, okay, let's add an extra
And that's
length to the
probably what
building.
happened. Or we're growing so much that we're going to expand, right?
It's so strange.
Yeah. All right. So, are you
Yep.
next there?
Um,
Doing it wrong
doing it
this time?
wrong.
Okay.
I'll block just about anybody for any reason that doesn't sound right to me. Every one of those folks would be blocked by me. If radar goes off by something someone says, it's going to be better to block them than have a bad interaction. Yeah, I like that. Like, I think for the block list, I don't mind blocking. Like, I was looking at my block list after we talked, and it's actually pretty long. And I have blocked just for I got a bad feeling off of this one.
Yeah.
It's always hard to tell. Like maybe nothing would have happened, right? You'll never have the reaction, but you know, I definitely will block if they've had a bad experience that was my fault. Because what I'm afraid is they're going to have another bad experience and then going to get more negatives or something. So
Yeah.
that's
I don't have a
paranoid.
problem. Like there's a lot of people out there buying stuff, man. There's like
Yeah.
it's a very big platform. So, I'm not too worried about it.
Honestly, it
Um
just makes me feel better.
yeah. You have control. You have the power.
Yep, exactly. Go away now.
All right, so I am Randy Scott. I did the same thing. Buyer was happy with the item, but said the shipping cost was way too high. I replied that I likely lost money on shipping. People do complain about. I haven't had it recently, probably in the last year, but eBay and Canada Post have really reduced the shipping rates. But when I first started, I used to get those comments all the time about the shipping, or somebody, I only live in St. Catharines. Why are you charging $15? Well, dude, it's charging. It cost me more to ship it to St. Catharines than California, so that's why.
It's a eye opener for a lot of people. I
Yeah,
used to get those. I don't get those anymore, especially with the 200-gram shipping method now.
right, right.
That has saved people in Newfoundland, right? Because now they can get that thing for
Cheap.
$8-9 shipping, or
Yeah.
$8. Yeah.
I replied that I likely lost money on shipping, especially how I pack. I charged 8 postage was $5.78 plus the padded envelope. And that's another point too. You got all the boxes and tape and everything to consider.
I always figure it's about $1 for that.
Yeah, plus the padding envelope, Ziploc, backer, eBay fees, and my time. Then I blocked him. Likely for 40 plus buyers on my block list. I'm probably sitting around 20, 25
Oh,
block list.
I'm more like 40 plus.
Um, so there. And last comment to on Randy there.
Yeah, do you want to do that one because it's relevant to you?
Oh, let me see. I think this was his first comment actually of the list, and I actually looked on there and I replied to it. Cast or aluminum is difficult to weld. So if you want to repair yourself, choose a specialty shop or garage that works on feed or water trucks, as they have aluminum trailers. Oh, that's an interesting idea. Um, yeah. For me though, Randy, like I don't want to get into repairing and having extra cost for the repair and stuff. I'd rather just sell it, take a little bit of loss, and not have to deal with the repairing stuff. But I do appreciate that input because that's a good point. And I can't remember who said it. Let me just double check this. Okay, so it might have been Randy's comment, but I do remember someone saying that it is difficult to weld aluminum. So I just figure it could turn into a big disaster or a mess or a big blob that makes, these guys might have, they might be shop guys and car rebuilding guys, and they'll know how to fix it. You know what I mean? They've done it a billion times. They know the exact heat and everything that's involved in making a nice weld there. They might not even weld it. They might just put it on their car because it was just a little crack. You know what I mean? Once it's bolted down, it might be fine. I don't know. So
let someone else worry about that.
Let them worry about it. Maybe they don't want it welded. They're just going to attach it to the car, right? Because
who knows? They could put it on their wall.
Or they could do that too. That's 100%. Yeah. But nice rack.
Hey man,
it's actually a grill. It's not a rack. But yeah. Anyways, I think that's it for comments. Is that everyone?
Thank you everyone for the comments.
Yeah, appreciate it for sure. And anything else, Carl? Like I got to go get these toy soldiers all listed here.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's just another week. The weather's still beautiful, so hopefully.
It's crazy good here. Yeah, good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
But apart from that, it's just like slowly working through all the crap. I've been doing a little bit of listing and thinking about my booth, thinking about all that stuff, and another week. No, it's good. Like I'm not going crazy for Q4, that's for sure. But I encourage everyone to do that because that's when you make a lot of your money is at this time.
Yeah, in Q4 for me expands into Q1, and I think January is just as good as month as anyone in Q4. So
yes,
like I prepare now for Q4 and leading into January. So
I was working on my bolo list this week though. My folder. I was adding Mighty Beans.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the bolo hint is for Mighty Beans. If it says limited edition or special edition, they're probably worth looking up. If they're gold or silver, they're worth looking up. If they're the Simpsons or Christmas, they're probably worth looking up. And if there's a moose, it's really good. If there's a moose on the Mighty Beans,
really,
it's really good. Yeah.
Why is the moose?
I don't know.
Is that like Bullwinkle?
Yeah, it kind of looks like Bullwinkle.
So maybe that's the character.
Yeah. And numbers 1 to 100 have a bit
more. Or is
more
it just
value.
a moose, or is it Bullwinkle?
No, it's not Bullwinkle, but it kind of looks like Bullwinkle.
Oh, okay.
And like the numbers 1 to 100 are the first series, so those are worth a bit more. But in general, they're worth like 25 to 50 cents each.
Okay.
So there you go. I did some research.
Very good.
Mostly because I have a box full of them. And it's like, if I don't list these damn things, they're going to stay in this box forever.
It's amazing what some things have value that you would just never think. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Like it never ceases to amaze me, but
I don't have any of the special ones. So basically I'm just going to dump them all in one big lot online on eBay and hope for the best and go from there.
Or put them in your booth. Put them in your booth.
No one wants beans in my booth.
They will. They will. If you
I don't know.
package
They
them
don't want
all,
beans. No.
put all the beans in your booth and put, I don't know, $10 on them, or I don't know how many you have, but they'll sell,
No, I
guaranteed.
got a lot more online than that.
How many you got?
And there must be at least 40 in there, if not
So
more.
so put like 2 bags of 20 and put what, $15 a bag? That's $30. They'll sell. I'm telling you, put them in next week right beside your Steiff Bears, and you're gonna
My Stife Bears.
they'll
Oh, you
sell.
know
I
what's
put I put them. You know what else sells out of the booth? Like
no.
surprisingly, you ever come across the like somebody will have um a binder of Pogs.
I do have I have a binder of pogs ready to go.
They'll sell it at your booth.
I know. I thought about taking the pogs, but I have to, like with the beans, I have to research them. I want to make sure there's nothing really special in that binder first.
To me, they're like stamps, dude. I can't be bothered. I'll buy them for like $5 and I'll put $20 on the
I
binder.
come across pogs sometimes though, so it's
Yeah,
like not like once a year, but to me it's worth, like with the mighty beans, right?
yeah,
I now know what to look for. So if I see them and someone's asking a lot of money for their mighty beans, and I see those special ones, I know it's worth picking up rather than I would just pass by them because they're asking too much. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
pogs are kind of in that same category where it's like it's with the Skylanders, right? It's like I know the secrets now. I don't have to research the secrets over again, and I can tell if people are asking, if they're asking too much for the Skylanders, but the good ones in there, I know it's still worth it. You know what I mean? Like before, like with the Mighty Beans, I paid $5 for the whole big box of them. That was fine. It's cheap enough that I can buy them and research them. But now I wouldn't. Well, I'd buy this box again because it's so cheap. But if someone asked $20 for this box, I wouldn't buy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Unless
I
I had the
just find
special
like,
ones in
what
there.
can I be doing with that time that I'm researching all these little things? Like,
Yeah, like if it looks like, you look at time, there's much better ways to spend your time, but I have so much time that I'm not using anyways. Do
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I was actually incentivized to actually use my time in this way.
like I
Where
think we need to build a machine that you
yeah,
can just dump Pogs in, or you can dump a bunch of like
well,
hockey cards, and it just sorts them out, and then it'll spits out to the left all the garbage, and to the right all left and
you
right,
could make that machine now.
left and right, but
You
in the
could do
right
that
is all
now.
the gold.
Yeah. Give me some Lego Bionics. I won't go into, but my Arduino stuff, I could maybe do that.
Yeah, with an
Just,
AI, like I'm gonna go buy one of Elon
oh
Musk's
man.
Tesla robots.
Oh, I want that $20,000.
Yeah, it's a steal when you get him to sort. They can scan it. They'll be able to figure out which card's good. They do all the work for you.
I would totally buy one of those if they actually worked. But let me put it this way: I have the free full self driving trial right now in my car, and I don't use it. Like I could literally put
Because
in
you
like
go
the
too
flea
slow.
market and go to no, it goes. It's terrifying. It guns the gas, man. It's
Oh,
so
jeez.
scary.
You guys don't even have gas. It's
Guns,
electric.
guns the accelerator. Anyways, yes. So I did learn my bolo. I did research for one thing this week, so that's pretty good.
Oh, good.
Everyone now knows about Mighty
Dude,
Bean
I think if you sold those books, you make a fortune. You'd save everybody time from having to do the research themselves.
books.
Yeah, Skylander, Pogs.
Oh yeah, I don't want to sell my secrets. Screw that.
Well, you'll probably make more off your secrets than
How dare you?
seriously. Dude, who wouldn't buy that book? I'd be all over that book.
I tried doing that a little bit, eh? I tried making a page that looked like the collector's books. It was so much work, I just gave up.
Go
Like,
on Amazon and you can write a book in no problem.
have you ever looked at the Google books that you can have printed?
Well, I
It's,
did that through
it's
Amazon.
or Amazon, whatever. It's so cheap.
Yeah,
It's
I
like for
know.
$30, you get like a color bound book,
Dude,
custom made,
it's less than that.
or it's even $20 or something. It's so cheap.
No, it's even less than that. Like,
Oh,
so,
physical though, physical copy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like you can even do it less than that. It depends how many pages there are and all, and the color and all that other kind of stuff.
yeah,
But you can do you can do books where it costs maybe like $5, but your charge, and you set your charge, and you could do $9 or $12 for the book, depending on how big it is and all that kind of stuff. And then whatever the difference is of the cost, that's what you make a percentage of that, right? So,
right.
or
I thought about making one of those books just for for shits and giggles, to be honest.
Or do it as a Kindle book. It costs nothing, like of a online
You
book,
can do that, yeah. But I
right?
want a physical book.
And you charge. Well, you can do both. You can set it up for both, but you're only getting charged when someone buys it. Like, right, so if you're setting, let's say you set up for $15 and it costs $5 to make, you set the price of $5 or $15. Amazon's going to give you the price of whatever it takes to make. That's just, they're going to tell you. And then you make the difference. And if you want to buy one of your own books, I think you can buy them for a little bit of a discounted price, or you can set it low. I think you could buy it for its cost, but it has to go through your account or something like that. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, but you can do that, and it doesn't take long.
It's printing the stuff is crazy cheap. It's making it that where all the work really goes into it.
Yeah, but it's still crazy cheap when you actually see what they're going to charge.
Yeah.
So, all right, there it is. Another show, Carl.
Awesome.
All right.
Good. Have a good week.
Any last words?
List more, sell more.
List more. Toy soldiers.
Toy soldiers. Flea market booth.
All right. Thanks for everyone for comments and listening. Don't forget to hit the subscriber button. We're here every Friday on Spotify and YouTube, audio only. And have a good week, Carl. And have a good week, everyone else.
Bye, everyone.